Good morning, Anna. Thanks for tuning in to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. Well, biggest news stories from India and around the globe are coming up in the next 30 minutes. Let us start with the headlines. South Korea offers to participate in India's infrastructural projects as both sides sign agreements on trade and commerce. Defence cooperation among issues to be discussed as Prime Minister Modi holds delegation-level talks with South Korean President Moon Jae-in today. China to cut tariffs on Indian medicines, especially cheaper cancer drugs. Agreement reached to benefit 4.3 million people diagnosed with cancer annually in China. New 5-judge Constitution Bench of Supreme Court to hear pleas challenging recriminalization of consensual gay sex between adults. Bench to also hear issue of ban on entry of women between 10 and 50 years in Kerala's Sabrimala temple. Vehicles without a valid pollution under control certificate won't be insured. Insurance regulator IRDAI directs the insurance companies to comply in a move to crack down on those violating emission norms. And the countdown for the title clash will begin today at the FIFA World Cup as France take on Belgium in the first semi-final. Winner will either play England or Croatia for the coveted cup. Our top story this morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and South Korean President Moon Jae-in will hold delegation-level talks today. Situation on the Korean Peninsula and ways to boost bilateral trade and defense cooperation will be on the agenda for the talks. And on Monday, the two leaders jointly inaugurated the Samsung mobile factory, that is the world's largest mobile plant in Noida in Uttar Pradesh. And after the inauguration, the Prime Minister asserted that it was a big step towards making India a manufacturing hub. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath was also present at the launch venue of Samsung's Noida factory.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday dedicated the world's largest mobile factory to the country. Modi, along with visiting South Korean President Moon Jae-in, inaugurated the Samsung facility in Noida city of Uttar Pradesh. Built with a budget of over 4,000 crore rupees, the factory will provide jobs to over 2,000 people. Addressing the opening ceremony, the Prime Minister said that it will strengthen relations of India and South Korea.
सस्ते मोबाइल फोन, तेज इंटरनेट, सस्ते डेटा के चलते आज फास्ट और ट्रांसपेरेंट सर्विस डिलीवरी सुनिश्चित हुई है.
The Prime Minister also added that the last 4 years has seen the number of mobile manufacturing factories go up to 120 from 2 in 2014. Over 4 lakh people are employed in these factories. Samsung's facilities employ 70,000 people in India.
भारत दुनिया में दूसरे नंबर पर पहुंच गया है. बीते 4 वर्षों में फैक्ट्रियों की संख्या, मोबाइल फोन बनाने वाली फैक्ट्रियों की संख्या 2 से बढ़कर के 120 हो गई है. और खुशी की बात है कि जिसमें से 50 से अधिक तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ यहां नोएडा में है. इससे 4 लाख से अधिक नौजवानों को सीधा रोजगार मिला है.
The factory is being made under the Make in India policy of the Modi government. The South Korean tech giant makes 67 million smartphones in India. The new plant is expected to escalate its output to nearly 120 million phones per year. After inaugurating the factories, both Modi and Jae-in visited the production line of Samsung and toured the factory. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And South Korean President Moon Jae-in had offered cooperation in making of smart cities, ships and industrial corridors in India. He said that South Korea will also offer India industrial technology in addition to the ongoing cooperation in science and technology. He also invited the Indian entrepreneurs to invest in South Korea. Prime Minister Modi and Moon Jae-in will also attend the CEO's roundtable today.
Korea as His Excellency Moon Jae-in joins us.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in addressed the India-Korea Business Forum on Monday in Delhi. He said that Korea and India will also cooperate in space, including lunar mission and industrial technology. Commerce Minister Suresh Prabhu was also present on the occasion. Nearly 500 Korean companies are operating in India with business of less than $20 billion.
We already created Korea Plus in our Invest India, which is part of my ministry. But now I think Korea Plus is not enough. Knowing the type of investment that is coming in, probably we'll have to think about Korea Square. That's a potential. And therefore, I think we really need to work on many of these areas together. And I really look forward to that.
The South Korean president also held talks with External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj on strategic issues. Swaraj briefed the Korean president about how India can cooperate with South Korea in establishing peace in the Korean peninsula. The Korean president will have a summit-level meet with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday.
At a time when Korean peninsula is going through the peace process, President Moon is very hopeful about India-Korea ties. While it will fulfill Korea's need of investment abroad, it will also fulfill India's need of making India and generating large-scale employment. Meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi will write a new chapter in the history of India-Korea relationship. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Television with camera person Dusmonta in Delhi.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi and South Korean President Moon Jae-in took a ride in the metro to Noida on Monday, and both the leaders headed there for the inauguration of a Samsung facility to manufacture mobile phones. They travelled with the tokens in a normal train with passengers, and there was no delay in services due to their movement. The two leaders also visited Gandhi Smriti. They paid homage to Mahatma Gandhi. And during their visit, the two leaders listened to a few of Mahatma Gandhi's favourite bhajans sung by classical singer Vidya Shah. On to the other top story. India and China have reached an agreement on reduction of tariffs on Chinese imports of Indian medicines, particularly cancer drugs, which are highly expensive in China. However, it is not yet clear whether China has agreed to grant licenses to Indian companies to sell cancer drugs, which could be a major step. The move comes days after a Chinese movie on a leukemia patient highlighted the need for paving the way for the import of cheap Indian medicines. About 4.3 million people are diagnosed with cancer annually in China. Indian drugs, especially the cancer-curing medicines, are in big demand in China as they are far cheaper than their Western counterparts. And some crucial hearings will commence today in the Supreme Court. Among them is a batch of petitions challenging the recriminalization of consensual gay sex between two adults. To hear the number of petitions, a new 5-judge constitution bench has been constituted. Remember, the Apex Court had in 2013 restored the criminality of the sexual relationship between persons of the same sex after the Delhi High Court had decriminalized it in 2009. The bench would also deal with the plea challenging the constitutional validity of Section 497 of the IPC, which seeks to punish only men for adultery and treats women involved in the crime as victims. And besides challenge to Section 377, the bench would also hear contentious issue relating to the ban of entry of women between 10 and 50 years of age in Kerala's Sabrimala temple. The issue of women entering Sabrimala temple was referred to the Constitution bench by a 3-judge bench headed by the Chief Justice. The court questioned how a temple managed by a statutory board, that is the Travancore Devaswam Board, and financed out of the Consolidated Fund of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, can indulge in practices violating constitutional principles or morality. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court on Monday upheld the death penalty in the December 16, 2012 Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case. A 3-judge bench headed by Chief Justice Deepak Mishra rejected the review pleas filed by Mukesh, Pavan Verma and Vinay Sharma, saying that no grounds have been made out by them for review of the verdict. The apex court said that the death row convicts failed to point out the errors apparent on the face of record in the judgment. The fourth death row convict, namely Akshay Kumar Singh, did not file a review petition against the apex court's 2017 judgment, which had upheld the capital punishment awarded to them by the Delhi High Court in the gang rape and murder of a 23-year-old paramedic student in Delhi. The convicts are now left with the option of filing a curative petition in the Supreme Court and a mercy plea before the President.
हमारी न्याय व्यवस्था में जो कानूनी प्रक्रिया है इसमें बहुत लंबा समय लग जाता है, तो मैं कानून व्यवस्था से अपने पूरे सिस्टम से हमारा रिक्वेस्ट है कि अपनी कानून प्रक्रिया को चुस्त करें और देश के सारी बच्चियों को इंसाफ दें.
On to some other news, a parliamentary delegation from the Senate of the Republic of Rwanda visited the Haveli Dharampura in Chandni Chowk yesterday. During the visit, the delegation praised the architectural beauty of the Haveli and also appreciated it and said that the cultural and heritage of India must be restored like this. Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Vijay Goel said that such a visit will strengthen relations between India and Rwanda. Rajya Sabha Secretary General Desh Deepak Varna accompanied the dignitaries there. The delegation will meet the chairman of Rajya Sabha M. Venkaiah Naidu today.
This place with this original culture, which is very important because in every country, every population, if you have a very strong culture, you keep your identity, and I think it is very good to keep safe this such a place for that purpose.
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is also going to Rwanda. First time Indian Prime Minister will visit the Rwanda, and we hope our economic, bilateral, political relations will be benefited from this trip of them.
And in order to meet the target of doubling the farmers' incomes by 2022, the centre is working on a model called the zero budget farming across the country, aiming to reduce the farm input costs. Now, the model has already gained ground in Karnataka and in Andhra Pradesh. And for the same, Niti Aayog on Monday held a day-long deliberation to work out ways and means to implement the zero-budget farming across the country. Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar said that 5 lakh farmers are already using zero-budget farming in 3 states of the country, and if implemented across the country, it would lead to a paradigm shift. Union Minister of State for Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, said that the centre was keen that the farmers adopt this zero-budget farming to earn a remunerative income without incurring debt. Niti Aayog and representatives of state governments agreed to entrust the task to the Indian Council for Agricultural Research.
A paradigm shift is needed in Indian agriculture, because if you want to double the farmer's income, you have to not only look after the prices, but much more importantly to reduce the cost of agriculture, and also to prevent further despoilation or further worsening of our own lands. And zero budget natural farming, promoted, invented, if you like, or innovated and propagated by Shri Subhash Palekar, is perhaps one of the most potent methods of achieving this. And if we adopt this, and there are already about 5 lakh farmers who are now working on this in many different states, this is possible.
In Breakfast News, time for a very short break. We'll be back with more news on the other side. Stay tuned.
On this edition of India's World, we will analyze China's Obor Blues.
BRI projects are by China, for China, of China. I don't think that anybody can put it any better.
Communist Party had mentioned this BRI as a program in the party constitution. Secondly, the Communist Party Congress, the 19th one last October, had also flagged this issue on the BRI construction. So definitely it has a huge personality imprint of Xi Jinping on the Belt and Road Initiative.
But the reality for India is your spaces are shrinking. And I think that is true in Sri Lanka to an extent. Maldives, very visibly. And Pakistan, of course, we know exactly what the orientation.
Welcome back after the break. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India has said that vehicles without a valid pollution under control certificate will not be insured. Acting tough on those violating emission norms, IRDAI has issued a notification directing all the general insurance companies not to insure a vehicle unless it has a valid PUC certificate. The vehicle insurance is renewed every year. The insurance regulators' move follows an order of the Supreme Court in this regard. In August last, the Apex Court had directed insurers not to insure a vehicle unless it has a valid PUC certificate on the date of renewal of the insurance policy. And life in Mumbai and its neighbouring areas have come to a standstill following heavy rains there. Streets are flooded and there are traffic snarls at many places. Train services have also been badly hit. Schools and colleges are shut and the Mumbai University examinations will be rescheduled for students who could not appear for them yesterday. And Mumbai has received 54% of the season's rain quota in just over a month since the monsoon arrived. Most of the rains are recorded in the last 20 days. The observatory has recorded 1,190 millimeters of rainfall till 8th of July, which is 53.27% of the average. Similarly, the Santa Cruz Observatory has already registered 1,362 millimeters of rainfall till 8th of July, which is 54.19% of the average. South Mumbai recorded 203 millimeters of rainfall in the last 24 hours. News from Japan now, where the death toll from record rains that have devastated parts of the country has now risen to 141. Several dozen people are still missing and rescue workers, including police and troops, have been battling to find survivors and victims as flood waters start to recede now. People are struggling with lack of drinking water, low food stock as well. Several thousand homes are without electricity. While there is a forecast for the sun to be out today, there are fears that rising temperatures will lead to heat stroke in areas that are cut off from power or water.
記録的な豪雨による死者、行方不明者は100人を超え、極めて甚大な被害が生じています。今もなお安否不明者が多数おられることなどから、実動部隊を7万3000人に増強し、全力で救命救助に当たっております。
And news from Thailand now, where divers are preparing to resume this morning a rescue operation to free the last 5 members of a group that are trapped in a vast cave system last month. Earlier on Monday evening, the second day of the rescue operations at the cave site ended after 4 more boys were brought out of the flooded cave system. Now, 8 boys have now been freed, while 4 remain inside the flooded cave complex with their coach. Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha also visited the hospital on Monday evening after speaking with the families who are still gathered near the cave entrance. Remember, 12 boys aged between 11 and 16 and all the members of this youth soccer team known as Wild Boars entered the caves with their coach on 23rd of June and became trapped inside after heavy rains flooded the entrance. One of the divers really died on Friday while navigating the water-filled passageways inside the caves. And now let's get you all the action from the Football World Cup in Russia. All right, from 32 nations at the World Cup, now 4 remain. The 2 semi-finals will see 4 European countries fight for a place in Sunday's World Cup final. The first semi-final between France and Belgium will be played today in St. Petersburg to decide who will meet either England or Croatia in the final. My colleague Tina Jha brings you this detailed report on the semi-final lineup today.
Welcome to the Stat Zone. I'm Tina Jha. So it's now down to just 4 teams at this World Cup. 2 of them have won the trophy once each, while the other 2 have never won the World Cup, and they now have the chance to create history. So the 4 teams in contention are France, Belgium, England and Croatia. France and Belgium will play the first semi-final, while England and Croatia go on to play the second. Talking about France first, the team ranked 7th in the world has played in the World Cup 15 times, including the current championship. Their first time at the World Cup was back in 1930, and their best performance came in 1998 when they emerged champions after defeating Brazil 3-0 in the final. France will play Belgium in the semi-final. Ranked 3rd in the world at the moment, the current Belgian team has a lot riding on its shoulders. A Belgian team has never reached the finals and made just 1 semi-final appearance. Their best performance is 4th place that came in 1986 when they lost to Argentina 2-0 in the semi-final. England's 15th appearance at the World Cup has all the makings of being historic. The Three Lions have made it to the semi-finals after 28 years. They last won the World Cup in 1966, defeating Germany 4-2. And if the fans' chant is to be believed, then it is coming home. England will play Croatia, who burst onto the world stage in 1998 and did their best that year, getting the 3rd place. They lost to France in the semi-finals 2-1. They have played every World Cup since then, except the 2010 edition. For the moment, that's it from me from the Stat Zone.
All right, let's get a perspective on what is going to happen today. We have with us Jyoti Anbiret, a former national football player, joining us in the studio. A very good morning, Ms. Biret. So France meeting neighbours Belgium in the first semi-final of the World Cup today, and of course they are looking to reach their 3rd final in 20 years, and Belgium are hoping to reach the final for the first time. How do you look at today's match, and who's your favourite?
Very interesting encounter today. Both teams, have looked good through this tournament. France, of course, favourites right from the start, but Belgium really the dark horses who have shown us what they're capable of. Both teams very good in their attack, so it's going to be a very highly attacking game today. I can expect a lot of goals. The only negatives for Belgium is they're without their winger, Thomas Meunier, to suspension. And France has Matuidi back in the squad after his suspension. So that may give France a little bit of an edge. But, Belgium going forward, it's a formidable attack. And this truly is the golden generation of Belgian football.
Yeah, in fact, that is what I was going to ask you, because they are looking to fulfill this potential of their much lauded golden generation. So far, of course, they have done really well. They have scored 14 goals in the 5 matches that they have played so far. But, up against France, of course, their nerves are going to be tested today.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, nerves are tested. This is a team that's been built from scratch, through the grassroots. They've been playing together from the youth system. It just shows how deep the Belgian youth system is and how well it's working, because the same team that's probably played under 14 is now playing the World Cup together. So they've been playing together for a long time, and today will be the final test for them.
Absolutely. And they have looked confident throughout the tournament. Of course, the way that they beat Brazil 2-1 in the quarterfinals, that showed that they are really, what they are really made of. But looking at France, of course, they also had tough opponents in this World Cup, the entire tournament. So do you think today, who will be more confident?
See, I think both teams deserve to be here. They both have played fantastic football. So both these teams deserve to be in the semi-finals today. I think the difference today will be the strikers and who takes the opportunity. I think the strikers who put the ball at the back of the net are the ones who are going to win the game for them. Even a few missed chances might be heavily might cost the team heavily. So we're looking at Lukaku, and we're looking at Griezmann, we're looking at Mbappe. So we want these players to sort of perform today. For me, I think Belgium has a slight edge going into today's game. So I would call it, say, 2-1 to Belgium tonight.
All right. And speaking, you mentioned about the key players. Of course, you know, Mbappe has found this form at the tournament. He has got 3 goals that he has scored. You think it'll be more about how to contain, you know, his explosive pace and, of course, finishing ability. That will be a big challenge, really, for the Belgium side.
It will be. You know, he's such a quick player, and to actually mark him is very difficult. So all Belgium can really do is limit his space for movement. I don't think they're going to be playing a man marking sort of game because it's very hard to mark him. So they're going to limit his space, not give him much space to move around. He's a player who likes to run. So if they can sort of compact their defensive area, that's the only way they can really contain Mbappe today.
Right. And interesting thing is that, you know, the two teams know each other. That is what, in fact, the managers were saying yesterday in the press conference as well, that they have played against each other so much that they actually know each other's strength, each other's weakness. So it'll be interesting who comes out on the top today.
It will be definitely. A lot of these players play on the same teams even in European football. So we have, you know, Hazard going up against Kante, his Chelsea teammate. You know, it's going to be very interesting. These players know each other. They've played each other 70 times, these two teams. So I'm sure they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. I think having Thierry Henry on the Belgian side is going to be a slight plus point for them as well. So, but it's going to be very, very interesting and very close.
And Thierry Henry was also part of the squad that actually won in 1998. Now he's assisting the Belgium coach. So that is, of course, a very, very good, you know, something that everybody would be looking forward to, how he reacts. And I don't know whose side really he will be in today's match. That will be also very interesting. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Buret, for joining us this morning and sharing your views on today's match, and for in-depth analysis of all the ongoing Football World Cup action. Also watch our special daily show at 7 p.m. On to some other news now. A 5-day solo painting exhibition by Nitika Dev is being organized in AIFACS in Delhi, and the exhibition is themed on Tawang, the pristine and untouched beauty of Arunachal Pradesh. Here's a report.
Tawang, the hidden paradise, a painting exhibition representing the beauty of Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh on canvas by Nitika Dev is being organized in Delhi. The aim of this exhibition is to express the soul of Tawang.
I have tried to bring out the essence of Tawang to my canvas, and I've tried my best to include every part of it, like the culture, the landscapes, people. So I've tried my best to touch on every aspect of Tawang.
Those who visited the exhibition say it is an attempt to act as a bridge between the northeastern states and the rest of India.
ऐसे आज भी वहाँ पे पुरानी संस्कृति हमारी जिंदा है और उसको चित्र पे लेके आए हैं, और जो लोग अभी तक नहीं गए उनको भी शायद वो भी इंस्पायर होंगे कि वहाँ पे जाके देखें.
Nitika is not a trained artist, but the paintings have captured the rituals and culture of Tawang.
I'm already feeling, you know, as if I've already gone to that place. So the artist ma'am has made it so beautiful that now I'm really willing to go over there and go and see the place.
The pristine and untouched beauty of the region, along with the vibrant culture of the local tribes, the Monpas, compelled the artist to capture them on canvas. Pranjal Prakhar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
That's all in this news bulletin. Thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.